Before we start today's show today, I want to thank our great new sponsor, MyPillow. That's right, MyPillow. They sent me one of those, Mike Lindell and the guys did. And I've been sleeping on it for a couple of weeks now, and I've never slept better. Hey, I've got a huge and busy schedule. Not only do I do the show, but we run an advertising agency. We help other podcasters with their shows throughout the country. We're constantly talking to folks, going to concerts. So my sleep is very important to me. So thanks to MyPillow. And remember, it's got a 10-year warranty guarantee, 60-day money-back guarantee. And yeah, you see MyPillow in stores like Walmart and Walgreens, but you can only get the premium pillows by calling MyPillow directly. So grab you one of those premium pillows. Call this number right here, 1-800-338-2330, 1-800-338-2330. Reference the code SGNP when you talk to them and say, hey, I want that premium pillow that Darien on SGNP has. It's that simple. They'll sell it to you, and it'll make life a whole lot better. So if you're having trouble sleeping, call MyPillow today, 1-800-338-2330. Use the code SGMP or go to their website, mypillow.com, and check them out. Hey, make sure you tell them SGNP sent you.
Welcome to one of the most listened to music news podcasts in the world, SGNP, with your host, Darren Sutherland. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, artists, and entertainers about their faith, family, and careers. This is information you will not find anywhere else on radio, web, or in a magazine, but only firsthand on SGNP.
Yeah, everybody's inspired to do their own thing. It's just like the Bible says, all inspiration's from God. He don't make two people alike.
And welcome once again to SGMP. Darren Sutherland here with you. Today's guest on SGMP, you may have not heard of him. He's not a household name in the world of gospel music, but if you've seen the McKameys, no doubt you've seen him stand there on stage with his parents and his grandparents. Eli Fortner, one of the youth in gospel music, 23 years old, is going to join us today and tell us all about what it's like behind the scenes of the McKameys, being with his Nana since the day he was born on a bus, how he's her favorite grandchild. He says that. I don't think she says that. But what it's like. And he calls his grandmother, his Nana, and I keep saying grandmother, but his Nana, a rock star. And you'll find out why he thinks that she's a rock star. Hey, I want to remind you this Thursday night, I know it's just 2 days away from when this program's released, but the McKameys will be with SGNP and Julio Jones Key at Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Free concert. Bring your lawn chair for that. And watch us on SGNP's Facebook page, Southern Gospel News Podcast Facebook page. And we'll be posting pictures and videos and all kind of stuff from there on the Facebook page and having a good time there. You can also follow us on Twitter, SGNP Podcast, SGNP Podcast. And we're getting a ton of followers. And our website is now up, SouthernGospelNewsPodcast.com, SouthernGospelNewsPodcast.com. A lot of big things happening around here. A lot of good things happening around here. One other thing, and when you hear this interview with Eli, you're going to hear things that you never dreamed from a 23-year-old. Listen to it. Send it to your grandchildren. It's kind of neat. Believe it or not, Eli, I'll tell you, he don't sit around listening to gospel music when he's at home, but he loves gospel music. He knows it from a historical perspective. He knows it from a heart perspective. And he knows it from a head perspective and a business perspective. A tremendous musician, tremendous talent. You'll want to hear it from him. Hey, got a few comments this week. Want to thank you for those that were sent in on Facebook. And I appreciate those. I want to again thank Miss Peg McKamey for being with us last week. Tons of good feedback on that. Tons of great feedback on that. Remember our sponsors, MyPillow, Kia, Toccoa Falls, and so many others that make this show up and make it a great part. Hey, let's get right to it. Let's take a break. We'll come right back with our interview with Eli Fortner.
This is Maurice Templeton. You're listening to SGNP.
SGNP is brought to you by Toccoa Falls College in Toccoa Falls, Georgia. For more information on TFC, call 706-886-7299 or visit them online at tfc.edu. That's tfc.edu. Since 1907, TFC, glorifying God through seeking and developing leaders who will impact the world for Jesus Christ.
And welcome back to SGMP. Darien Sutherland on the Kia Skype line, going up there to East Tennessee again this week. Last week we talked to his Nana. This week we're talking to, he'll say this, I'm sure she won't say this because she probably don't, but her favorite grandson, Eli Fortner. He's with the McKameys. Eli, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing good. Are you the favorite grandson? That's the question of Miss Peg.
Yeah, that's what I call myself, but she won't say that.
She won't say that.
No, she won't.
No, will your granddad say that?
No, he wouldn't say that. See, there's four more of them.
Yeah.
And I'm next to the youngest, so I like to say I am, but I don't want to cause a fight.
You don't want to cause... Eli, how old are you? How old are you, my man?
28 right now. 23.
23. How long you been traveling with your family?
Since day one.
Day one.
In my life. So, yeah.
Never known anything different but getting on a bus and going, huh?
Right. Never known anything about it.
So you're an accomplished musician. If you read your Facebook, and I looked at it a little bit before we did this interview, I see where you said playing the guitar comes easy for Eli.
I play drums and guitar, and playing guitar, I don't know, it's kind of, if this makes sense, I think less about it when I still take it very seriously. That's not what I mean, but when it comes to playing guitar, it kind of feels more natural to me. And then when I kind of go to play drums, that I overthink it a ton, and I want to get it right and stuff. But guitar does come a lot more easier to me for whatever reason.
Do you think that's genetics from your dad, or do you just think you're just good like that?
No, I think, if you ask my dad kind of the same question about, different stuff comes easy, he'll tell you, bass kind of comes easy.
Yeah.
To him. And, I'm the same way with guitar. It's just kind of easy for me. I guess I don't even think about it when I'm playing it. I play it and I get surprised about myself sometimes what I can do. But other than that,
Eli, everybody in gospel music knows your family. I got to tell you the funniest thing I ever saw in gospel music. Well, one of the funniest things I've saw, okay? Now, I've watched your family for years. Matter of fact, I'm 48 years old, so the first concert I ever promoted, and I ain't promoted concerts in 25 years, but I was 18 years old and I promoted your family, the McKameys. They came in and did a concert. And you've always had this stellar crowd that comes to see you no matter where you're at. I mean, just, they're loyal, from
right.
I never will forget going to Gainesville, Georgia, the Hayne Tatum days. You go when y'all are there, the same people's going to be sitting in the same seats the next time. I mean, when you go from city to city, I'm sure you're standing on stage. You know where certain people are going to be sitting, just like a preacher does when he's preaching a sermon, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
So at that point of my life, I guess this is about 10, 15 years ago, to maybe 10, 12 years ago. You said you were 23, so I guess you were 15, 16 years old. I go see y'all one night in Villa Rica, Georgia. I'm working at a contemporary radio station at the time, 104.7 Fish. Big contemporary radio station here in Atlanta. You can't help but miss it when you come through. Your Nana says, Miss Peg McKamey says to everybody, Eli's going to sing a song for y'all. So Eli steps up with his acoustic guitar, and he sings a song. I look at my wife, and I said, and tell me if I'm wrong, Eli. I don't think I am. If I'm wrong, we'll redo this whole segment, but I don't think I'm wrong. It's a Bebo Norman song. Okay? Do you remember that?
No, I did one Dallas Home song.
Dallas Home song, somebody's song. It was maybe Bebo Norman did the song. How about that? But I look at my wife and I said, you know what? If these folks knew this song was played on the fish, they would hang this child in effigy. But at the same time, I told you before we started the show today that more contemporary fans have listened to your grandmother's interview than that. And I noticed we're on your Facebook page. You've played with Meredith Andrews and some other folks. What other styles of music does Eli like other than gospel music? We're all human, man. I mean, we all get blessings off different types. And I mean, the Lord blesses us all, regardless, in many, many ways. But what other kind of music do you like, Eli? What's some of your influences?
Well, here's the deal. When I was growing up, my dad was a musician. Of course, my mom is too. But my dad, he was way more into the world music scene as far as what he listened to, and it never really had to do with anything other than just good music.
Right.
You know, it challenged musicians and stuff like that. So, in the world of Southern gospel and things of that nature, there's really not much challenge in it as far as music, you know, unless you're a piano player.
Right.
But you really ain't gonna get no attention unless you're a piano player.
Right.
And so for me, you know, growing up with Dad and Mom, my mom plays piano, and you know, Dad would always have me, or he would always be listening to a lot of 80s rock or 80s pop, just good music. You know, what was ever real human beings playing real instruments, playing real cool stuff. And that's what I kind of cut my teeth on. You know, was the band Toto. Everybody knows I love them.
Yeah.
They do the song Africa, for those who don't know.
Yeah.
And, you know, just different guitar heroes that are mainly, you know, rock music, you know. But it has nothing to do with the lifestyle. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has just, it's music, you know. And when I make my stuff that people see on Facebook and stuff like that, it has nothing, it sounds however they want to fit it in what genre they want to. But for me, it's just music.
Cool.
And that's what I do. I'm a huge jazz fan. I love jazz.
Yeah.
I'm Miles Davis or John Coltrane or something like that. I'm a huge into that. And I did one thing, kind of jazz, and it turned out really cool with Steve Patrick and Dad, actually. But music is just music too. There's you know, opinions and everything like that. But for me, it's just music, you know.
Nice. That's cool. That's good to hear, man, because, you know, so many people try to put you guys in a box. They say, that's the McKameys. That's, but you know what? You like stuff just like we like stuff. It's like your grandmother and your Nana, rather, in our interview last week. She talked about her personal life, and she goes through similar struggles that we all do. They see you on stage. I mean, y'all did the C.T. Townsend crusade not too long ago. Great event up there in Bristol, Tennessee. And in your own words and in other people's words, it was an awesome night. But people look up y'all and say, man, there's something else. But you're human just like we are. You listen, right. You have a good time in life just like we do. So that's cool. Who's the best musician, do you think, outside of piano players, who's the best musician in gospel music?
We talking Southern gospel?
Southern gospel, yeah. Who do you just like to sit behind the bus and pick with if you get a chance, other than your pop?
Here's what's hard about that question is I know everybody. Yeah. And I would hate to say one or the other, and then they all just come at me because I'm kind of friends with everybody. You know, there's really amazing musicians in this industry. There's a lot of piano players, and there's just different ones. I mean, stylistically, I enjoy different styles. Meaning, there's different styles to approach every instrument.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you know,
in the world of Southern gospel, you got, for piano players' sake, you know, you got your Kim Collinsworth, and then she's great in what she does. I know her; she's a friend. Right. But then for something about it, I dig what Josh Singletary does. You know, his whole, because I think I'm a big fan of the Marx Brothers type stuff, and he copies some of the stuff, and I see that, and I dig that. You know. Yeah. And there's just many people in Southern gospel that are great musicians. You know. They're just fun to jam with. I love, as far as drummers go, here's one, and he's my buddy. We recorded stuff here at my house. And it's Stone Carter. He's with the Nealons right now on tour with him. You see him in the piercing stuff and all that. He's a great drummer. He's probably the greatest I've heard in a long time as far as Southern gospel goes.
Nice.
And,
nice.
There's many great musicians in this. Sometimes you see them shine, sometimes you don't.
Yeah. That's like me. I mean, I sit and people think, okay, man, you're eclectic, because at one point I'm listening to my buddy Mac Powell play the song, and then the next thing I'm listening to the Primitive, and they're playing a song, and both are perfection in their own way. You know what I'm saying? Both do a great job.
And that goes back to the just music vibe. That I'm going. I'm like, everybody's got their own opinion of what's great and what's not. If you're just good at your craft, and you can blend on any stage. These big festivals you see going on, they have many different artists, many different styles, but for some reason it all works. And it has nothing to do with,
Yeah. You're 23 years old, man. What have you noticed change in Southern gospel music in just the short time you've been in there?
I've been watching it change since I was, I don't know, probably since 19.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I knew how it was growing up. I've seen it change a lot, But here recently, I've really seen it take a dramatic turn. There's hardly any originality that I see and different things like that. And I love groups that are unique in their own way. You mentioned Primitives. I just love groups that have their own original deal.
Right.
To me, the McKameys have that. And because nobody's going to copy McKameys, nobody's going to copy Primitives. There's another group out there. I mean, even if you want to go in the Cooks, Singing Cooks or whatever. Freeman.
Right.
All them dudes.
Right. You mentioned two of my favorites right there that nobody outside of the world of Southern gospel's ever heard of. I've often said that if you took the Cook boys and they were young today, they are the new Gatlin brothers, if you hear them play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Except they'd have to get that mullet cut off so they could fit in this day and time. You know what I'm saying?
Do they still have mullets? I don't know if it is.
Yeah, they still got mullets. Believe it or not, they still got mullets. Hey, let me tell you this though, and somebody said this to me one day, and I hope Ronnie and them hear this, but I bet when them three were young, I bet they could fight. What do you think? You think them three would just be like?
I don't know. See, I hear stories that they were a blast. I know that because I hear stories from my dad who was around them back, I guess 70s, and I know they were a blast to be around. But now who knows? I don't know. They could have wrestled. I don't know.
I bet they could, man, because they just look like they were that just could go at it. But you talk about groups that are individuals. And the groups that are individuals seem to keep growing. I mean, you look at the McKameys. Y'all are individuals. Nobody can. There's folks that try to duplicate what you do, but they can't do it. You look at Jason Crabb. Who's been able to duplicate what Jason's been able to do? Nobody.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's just original. Everybody has their own thing. Everybody's inspired to do their own thing. It's just like Bible says, all inspirations from God. He don't make two people alike.
Right.
So if everybody would just follow themselves or follow him and then what they believe in themselves to do, we would have much more originality in things. But sadly, we have just a lot of copycats and people trying to keep up with the A-list people groups, if you want to put it that way. And sadly, we just hear a lot of the
same stuff. This is going to be a weird question, but I'm going to ask you. I asked Hovey Lister this question about 30 years ago. I asked Hovey, I said, Hovey, if you were starting off today, would you go Southern gospel or go a different route? And you know what Hovey told me? You're going to laugh when I tell you this. Hovey said, I'd always love gospel music, but I'd make a living first. Okay. So
he's exactly right.
He's exactly right.
If you want to, somebody told me, or I think it was my dad, I don't know who it was, but told me, said, how a gospel singer makes $1 million? I went, no, he said, spend $2 million.
That's it. That's it. If Eli wasn't doing gospel music, what do you think Eli would be doing today?
That's kind of hard yet again to answer. And here's the thing, my dad, one time he asked me a question, he went, if you didn't know him, who would be your favorite Southern gospel artist?
Mm-hmm.
And if you even heard of Southern Gospel, who would be your favorite?
Yeah.
And I went a round and a round. I still don't have an answer for that question. You know, it's like I don't gravitate towards it. I hardly listen to it. Now, that being said, you know, I'm in it so much right now that people are probably going to take me wrong when I say this. I get sick of it.
Yeah.
You know, I hear it every day, every day when I'm out on the road, I hear it nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I come home, that's the last thing on my mind, you know?
Right.
Unless I honestly do like the JD stuff, you know, and Hovey and
right.
Big Chief type stuff. But, you know, I still rarely listen to them. If I wasn't in gospel, I mean, who knows? Well, you watch the videos, you know,
yeah.
Who knows where I'd be, honestly. But gospel is, honestly, it's kept me at a ground, you know, when I needed to be. And so for that, you know, I'm grateful. But if I was just at home not doing anything, I don't know. I probably dare to say I wouldn't be in it.
Has your mom and daddy sat you down and said, Eli, in order to keep this group going, you've got to do like Dean Hopper and find a Kim?
No, that's been discussed many times about, you know, keeping the group going and all that stuff. But they've never told me that I would have to find a woman to do it.
I've often said the Hoppers are great, but they carried themselves on another generation when Dean married Kim. I mean, you got to admit it. I mean, you know, you can't escape that. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
So anyway, I thought, well, if you look at it, you know, Nana's getting there. She said she's going to retire when the Lord tells her to, is what she told me. So I was thinking as we was entering this interview today, well, I wonder if Eli's got to find somebody to take Nana's spot one day. Nobody can never take Nana's spot, but that's putting a lot of pressure on a young lady, ain't it? So.
Yeah, I reckon. I mean, I've never had a relationship last over 4 months, so in these days I kind of just sit back and don't even try.
There you go. I'm sure you get hit on every concert. There's a couple at the end of the stage. Say
it'd be great if they were my age, but you know, when you get in the 60 and 70-year-old category, I just ain't that type of guy. You know?
I bet y'all have some funny conversations on the bus about that. Some them elderly ladies coming up to you, them 40-year-olds or 35-year-olds and all that kind of stuff. I bet. No, man. You
gotta get older than that.
Really?
I wish it was 35. You know, but no, it grows from that. I don't know. That's another kind of interesting thing. I have shockingly seen, and I'm friends with C.T. Townsend, like you mentioned in Bristol. You know, me and him, I've known him for a long time, but I really got to know him this year because I've done 4 or 5 shows with him, and along with Bristol. And at our concerts, I'm noticing a lot more young people. And now I'm not talking, like, majority still rural senior citizens. I'm talking, I've seen a lot, and I was seeing a lot at his events. Obviously, there's a ton at his. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of noticed, I think if, you know, the Southern gospel world is a predominantly senior citizen thing, you know, if we're being honest about it. You look at NQC, it's predominantly a senior citizen convention. And the only young, a lot of times at those events, are not ever sitting in the audience. They're just people like me who's involved in the groups, or if they are my age, you know, they're hanging out with the group. They're hardly ever just sitting there listening and enjoying it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
And so therefore, it's kind of neat right now because I've been noticing at our concerts, there's been, you know, more young, and sometimes 4 or 5 people my age, and that's huge in the Southern Gospel market.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that, and they told me, you know, about CT, you know, that he gets people like us, and he's had Primitive. I think he's having Inspirations tomorrow night because they invited me out. But, you know, that's pretty cool that they're hearing it and kind of liking it, you know.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you mention that because when I look at the podcasts that we do here, we've done 20 episodes since April 6th. We're at about 87,000 downloads. And you know from the word podcast, if you went to your granddad today, Ruben, and said, Pops or whatever you call him, download a podcast for me, he'd look at you like you were crazy. Would he not? More than likely.
Yeah.
Okay. But folks your age know how to download podcasts. When we look at the demographics and the numbers, yes, the majority of listeners are 50 and older. You know what the second biggest crowd is? It's the crowd you talked about. It's the 25 and younger that are listening to these SGNP podcasts. So I think what's happening is a lot of folks are rediscovering the music right now, and I think it's growing. And when you see groups like, you know, this is going to sound awful when I say this. I haven't been a big fan of a lot of new groups in a while, okay?
I'm with you, yeah.
But when I see someone like High Road come along, okay, you've got 4 gorgeous girls singing incredible harmony, incredible musicians, and whether you like them or not, and whether they're your style or not, because they're bluegrass, country, gospel, whatever they're playing, you're seeing talent. And what I'm saying is they're not the most talented people in their church, so they decided to buy a bus. They're talented enough to stand on stage next to the McKameys, next to Jason Crabb, next to the Oak Ridge Boys. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So that's exciting to me to see that come along.
Yeah, and that's what I wish I'd see more of, because, I mean, I love High Road. They're friends of mine, too, and I love High Road. I've told them all, you know, when I went out to, I don't know, what was that thing? Emily Ann Roberts was there, Girls and Guitars Tour, something like that. And I went out and hung with everybody. And, you know, to me, they were the coolest thing because they had all live and everything like that. And I'm not going to jump on that whole live band brigade because, I mean, people get all in a wad about that stuff. But, I mean, when it comes down to it, a lot of people can't afford a live band.
Right.
Southern Gospel.
It is what
and so, I mean, everybody wants a live band, but, I mean, comes to cost. I mean, I'm a musician. I know what I'd take to, you know, have to do something like that.
Right.
And so it just comes to cost. But when you see somebody like High Road or even, you know, Crabb, Jason, he's got his own band or something like that. It's very, very cool to see. And Jason's another one, you know, he gets a lot of my age people at his shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know, I went out and seen him. He was around town. I live here in Knoxville, so he was around town somewhere. I went and seen him, and there was a lot there. You know, so it's very, very possible, but just sadly, the predominantly right now what I see is a good thing, but it's also still mostly senior citizen, you know.
Yeah, no doubt. When are you going to take your Nana to a UT football game? She told me she'd never been to one.
Well, here's the thing. I've never been to one.
You've never been
Saturdays, I'm gone.
Man, that's true.
I'm always gone.
Maybe when they start winning, you know, you can go one night. What about that?
Yeah. No, what I go to is I go to men's UT games now. That's what I do.
Okay.
I do that in the wintertime.
The basketball games?
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun.
I had a chance to interview Bruce Pearl one time. We could go down that road a long way, but we'll stop at that right there. But anyway,
he was there. I don't know, who's he coaching now, Auburn? Something like that.
Yeah.
He was there.
I forget the name of the coach now. What is his name? It's going to drive me crazy now that you mentioned it. But anyway, so what would you say to kids or young folks, 15 and younger, 13 and younger, that love gospel music? They're singing in their church and they've got the ability to make it. What would you say to them right now? Because, you know, you guys speak to a lot of folks. And I don't mean this negatively when I say this, but you guys speak to a lot of folks that sometimes that can't see outside of their county borders for whatever reason, because of socioeconomic reason. What do you say to these kids, Eli, that are in those churches right now that grew up like you did, but you had the advantage of going all across the country? What do you say to these kids? Because I know you see them, and I know your heart goes out to them.
Yeah. What I generally, I mean, if we're talking honestly, face to face, and I'm sitting here with whoever it may be that's asked me the same question, you know, what do I do?
Yeah.
My advice to them is perfect your craft, post it online. Yeah. That's about the only way you're going to get there now. Mm-hmm. And if I'm honest about it, let the people and God decide where you go. And that's the scary truth about it. Because you can't if you put yourself there, you'll last for a little while, but you'll fizzle out. And because I have a lot of friends, that they've maybe even paid their way to get there, to where they're at. But I know they're going to fizzle out. I can name groups from 2 or 3 years ago that everybody thought was going to be super hot and the next big thing, and you don't even know their name now.
Yeah.
And so when people come up to me and kids, they ask, how do I get involved in music in general or gospel? That's my advice to them. I would just do your thing. God will put you where He wants you. Anyway, if you're look at the McKameys. They growing up, they ain't the best. They ain't these glamour singers. They ain't glamour looking people. But they went to where they are.
Yeah.
And a lot of groups are like that, And so that's my advice generally to them. And everybody can do. Everybody has the possibility to be it. My gosh, if we can get Miley Cyrus and the Jonas Brothers famous, anybody can be famous. but at the same time, it's not everybody's got that. And social media, man, it's changed the game for everybody.
Yeah.
It's luckily me and Dad are a little more sad. I'm still learning all there is. I have people that'll tell me, I guess you would call them social media advisors, that I'm friends with, that tell me little things to do, on maybe McKameys or here, and you can have 2 million followers on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, or Facebook rather, but those can come from all over the world and be whatever, and you can still play a coffee shop and it not be half full.
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Phil Collinsworth told me a month ago when I was interviewing him, he said, we're building a studio behind our house. And I said, why is that? He said, so we can do live concerts and people can watch us on social media in a few years and don't even have to leave home. Yeah. So, it's going to change. Think about it where it was when you were 13. Now you're 23. Imagine where it's going to be when you're 33.
See, I'm get with, like my dad, who was raised, he's a session player, studio musician.
Yeah.
And he's played everywhere, from the 80s to now. And he was part of that transitioning from tape and tape machines to all digital. Everything's on computer. And right now I'm listening to him play guitar under my floor. My studio's right beside of his too. We do about everything from home.
Nice.
And as far as studio stuff. And so, it's a convenient luxury, but luckily Dad was hip enough to change over so that he could do home overdubs. But there's a lot of people out there that don't do them, a lot of musicians, and they're struggling.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people ain't doing the live thing. Me and my friends, I just talked to one last night. He's getting so-and-so over here to put drums down, and then he's going to get it, put bass on it, then he's going to send it to somebody else to put piano on it, then he's sending it to me to put guitar on it. That's how the world is. Nobody really gets called to come in all to a room and, have a day of sessions and songs,
Right.
And
let me close this out. Let me ask you a few questions because a lot of people want to know this. You look at her as she is your Nana, okay? The world looks at Miss Peg, and they see. How do I describe this? They see that lady. Here's the way I've often described it. They've seen that lady at their church that they grew up with that knows without a doubt that she loves the Lord and she oozes Jesus out of her every day of the week. You follow what I'm saying? In every church, there seems to be one lady like that. Your Nana kind of represents that for the whole country in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
I don't mean that negatively. That's the best way I think I can describe it. Yeah. Do you ever look when people are just, man, this Peg is Peg is Peg, and you ever just think, man, that's my Nana. That's no big deal, folks. That's my Nana. You stand behind her every night. What's that like, Eli, to see everybody that crazy about your Nana?
For me, I grew up and seen that. It's kind of a second. When I was younger, I didn't understand it. Mm-hmm. I was kind of the same way. I was like, that's just Nanny. I don't get this. And now I understand it. I understand the draw to her because there's nobody else like her.
Here's the deal. Nanny's a light. Nanny, when she's on the bus with us, when she's anywhere, if she were to walk into my house right now, she's just a big light that walks into a room.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, people are looking for a light because everything's dark. Everything. And so when anybody sees a form of light, they see somebody who appears to be content, and they even almost doesn't go through anything, even though I know she does. I listened to the interview you did with her, and I knew all the stuff she talked about and even more stuff,
Yeah.
And so when people see a light, they gravitate toward it. And so she's become an even bigger deal to people. I'm watching, crazy. I've seen her when she just walks into the room, they start clapping. One night, that was crazy. I've seen a lot of things with her, and that's why I stick with her, so I can play Superstar a lot. And for me, it's a really cool thing to look at. On a side note, that's my grandmother. She's like a rock star in Southern gospel, or in gospel music, rather. But on the other side, I don't really think anything about it other than.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I think she's a rock star in Christian music as a whole. Because believe it or not, Michael W. Smith knows who she is. Stephen Curtis Chapman knows who she is. Bill Gaither knows who she is. I heard a story one time, and I don't know if it's true or not. I heard her and your pops bought a ticket to a Bill Gaither concert one time in Pigeon Forge or somewhere, and he called her up on stage. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. They did. I've heard that story. They went to a concert, and
a Gaither concert,
Gatlinburg.
Yeah,
it was Gaither, and they just were going to go and hang.
Yeah,
and they ended up being a part of it or something. I think they did get on the mountain or something.
I heard this, and this is what I heard. I heard they'd bought a ticket and was sitting in the crowd, and Bill saw them and called them up on stage and had her sing, and he stood off stage crying like a baby the whole time he was singing. She was singing.
I don't know if he was crying like a baby or not, but I knew she sung.
That's pretty cool.
That part.
So she is a rock star in Christian music as a whole, my man. She is a Christian.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, I appreciate your time this morning. Look forward to getting with you Thursday night down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as Julio Jones Kia presents the McKameys. Peg will be there. Eli, we'll let your pop and your dad and we ain't even mentioned your mom today. We'll let her rest. You just, tell her that you let her rest. You talked about everybody else in the family. Will you do that for me? And
yeah, I'll do that.
But she, in her own right, she's a great singer, and without her, it wouldn't be the McKameys. Trust me.
Yeah, that's for sure. Sure, man.
And I appreciate your time and your candor, and thanks for taking the time to be with us, my friend. All righty.
Yeah, man. Not many people I'd wake up this early for.
All righty, my friend. Well, Eli, I appreciate it, boss man. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Thanks, buddy. Man. Eli Fortner on the Kia Automotive Group Skype line there this afternoon. And, man, great. Peg McKamey's grandson plays the guitar with her every single night, does a great job. Let's take a break. I'll be back. We'll close out in just a minute on SGMP.
SGNP is brought to you by Kia. Join SGNP this summer for the Kia Summer Nights Concert Series, a free concert at select local Kia dealers. The first concert is June 14th with the McKameys at Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
The God on the mountain is still God in the valley.
It's the Kia Summer Nights Concert Series, starting June 14th with the McKameys at Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa. Part of Kia, America's best value summer event. America loves Kia and gospel music. It's the Kia Summer Nights Concert Series, absolutely free. Brought to you by SGNP and Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, June 14th.
Great interview with Eli. I appreciate it, my friend. You know what? I like it when somebody's real. You can get some people on the air with you, and they'll tell you all the things that you want to hear them say. You know they love Jesus, or they wouldn't be on this show to begin with. You can tell somebody loves Jesus without even talking to them a lot of times by the way they carry themselves. But Eli, great young man, and Hey, you young girls that like gospel music, there's your husband right there. He's looking. He didn't tell you he was looking, but he mentioned it there. He said he ain't never had a relationship more than 4 months. I mean, folks, he's low-hanging fruit out there for you good-looking young girls. I'm just telling you that. Hey, remember our sponsors and our folk friends at MyPillow. You want a great deal on a pillow? Call MyPillow at 1-800-338-2330. Use the code SGNP, 1-800-338-2330. Use that code SGNP, and thank you for paying attention. Again, check out our website. Check out our Facebook page, Southern Gospel News Podcast. Check out our Twitter page. We're just all over the place now. Just all over the place and having a good time. Arthur will be back with us. Our co-host Arthur will be back with us next week. I know he's missed a couple of shows, but Arthur Rice of the Kingdom Heirs will be back with us. We're growing, and we're growing by leaps and bounds. I want to say you can also hear us now weekly. You can also hear us weekly on, we're getting picked up on all kind of internet radio stations and all kind of radio stations across the country now, which is kind of neat. SOGR Radio up out of Powell, Tennessee. You can go online and listen. SOGR Radio and hear us twice a week on their programming. So we're listening there. We're getting hooked up in some other places. So thank you so much for being a part of our huge family. Thanks so much for so many people listening to us and sharing us. How do we grow this thing? How do we keep it growing? We grow it with you. You send it to your friends. You send it to your family. You share it. Build it on social media sites. People have no idea how many people listen. I'm going to pull Charlie, my producer, on here real quick for just a second. Charlie, how's it going, my friend?
Oh, I'm good today, Darren. How are you?
Man, doing well. You had mentioned, we were talking about the Peg McKameys interview from last week, and you put it on your personal page. And folks, if you don't know Charlie Sexton, Charlie is a gospel music historian. He knows more about gospel music than I could ever remember. He's been a friend for a long, long time, and he produces this show. But Charlie, you said something about Peg's interview. How many shares it got? How many did you say it had just off of your personal page?
Oh, just off of my personal page, there were over 65 people shared it. Strangely enough, it was just a few people that I personally knew. It was that I had tagged the McKameys and Eli and maybe some others, and people just picked it up and ran with it. I was very impressed.
I liked the woman. You know what woman I liked on your page?
Who's that?
The one that said, I love the interview, but the talking before the interview got on my nerves.
Yeah, I've already contacted her to be the president of your fan club.
Anyway, I thought it was fun. But you know what? Hey, thanks for the comments. We're always learning to improve. Going to have another great show next week. Going to have a lot of great fun. But guys, what I'm saying is without you sharing it, without you making it a part of your daily life, we can't grow. Without you servicing customers like Kia, like MyPillow, like Toccoa Falls College. Without thanking folks like that, we can't keep growing. You want to bring gospel music to the mainstream. You want to show the country what gospel music's all about. Support the sponsors. Look at anybody involved in gospel music. Okay? Look at the household names in terms of brand that's associated. Very few. I preach this on a daily basis. You've got to get them behind it. Pick up a leading industry magazine. See how many mainline sponsors are in there. Pick up a radio station. See how many mainline sponsors are there. Pay attention to the sponsors. Pay attention to the folks supporting it. Again, look at MyPillow. When you go to MyPillow.com, use that code SGNP. 1-800-338-2330. Charlie, I probably preach out a little too much, but you can't state it enough. You got to have these guys to make it work, don't you?
Absolutely right. We got to have those sponsors.
There you go, my man. Well, it's been another great show. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I love talking to Eli. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. If you can't be with us Thursday night, say a prayer for us. Say a prayer for the crowd, the weather, and all that kind of good stuff. I want to also remind you, July the 8th, Woodstock, Georgia, next big SGNP Kia event. It's going to be at Carriage Kia in Woodstock, Georgia, July the 8th with Jason Crabb. Absolutely free concert. Looking forward to that. Charlie, one quick question before we get out of here, my man.
What's that, Darren?
What's wrong with living right anyway?
Not one thing.
Thank you, buddy. You're listening to SGMP.
SGNP is excited you chose to listen today. If you'd kindly leave a remark and rating in the podcast remarks section, we surely would appreciate it. Please share with a friend or family member. Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and our new website, southerngospelnewspodcast.com. And remember the Kia Summer Nights concert series, all 100% free, coming to a town near you. For more information on the concert series or to advertise your products, services, concert event, or new project on SGNP and reach a 100% guaranteed number of people in your area, call Tim Newton at 770-874-3200 or email him today, tnewton@bgadgroup.com. Let us geo-target our ads for you, something radio nor magazine can do.